actually know your rights. You know, your protected freedoms. What you can or can't say or do. Whether or not the cops can lie to your face during an interrogation. The important stuff. Your civil rights, do you know them? Because it's fact or fiction, Civil Rights Edition, and here is how it works. I'll make a statement, 22 total statements to be exact, about your rights in real life. And you're gonna tell me, floontz, that's a fact, or floontz, that's fiction. Some of these will surprise you. Some will piss you right off. And a few, I'm hoping they might actually help you out someday. Every time you hear, that means we're on to the next fact or fiction statement, okay? So, let's see how well you really know your rights. Because our first fact or fiction question is giving a police officer the middle finger, I'm not gonna do it right now, is a crime. Is it a fact or is it fiction? Is flipping the bird to the fuzz actually illegal? Can you catch a charge for the middle finger? Is it a crime? Is it a crime? Is it a crime? Anything? It is fiction. You can legally flip off a cop. It is generally protected speech. It's not going to make your day any smoother, but under the First Amendment, your middle finger is constitutionally protected sass. Giving a cop the finger might earn you a lecture or a free ride to the station for something else, but on its own, it's not arrest worthy. So unless you're juggling a felony or you're mouthing off while resisting arrest, the gesture alone, totally legal. Next fact or fiction. If you ask an undercover cop if they're a cop, they have to tell you. Is it a fact or is it fiction? If you ask an undercover cop, hey yo, are you a cop? They have to tell you. If you ask the cop if they're a cop, they have to tell you that they're a cop. Is that fact or fiction? It is. It is fiction. This is a persistent myth because they don't have to tell you jack. This myth has been passed around more than a blunt at a dorm party, but sadly, it's completely false. Undercover officers are actually legally allowed to lie to you. It is part of the act. And no, it's not entrapment. Unless they pressure or manipulate you into committing a crime you otherwise wouldn't. So, just lying about being a cop, that is standard operating procedure. So no matter how smugly you ask, are you a cop though? They can smile, say nah man, and still slap the cuffs on you 5 minutes later. Tricky, who among us is a secret covert undercover cop? Is burning the American flag against the law? Is setting fire to Old Glory gonna land you in jail next to a guy named Snake who collects bottle caps? Is it a crime to barbecue the Stars and Stripes in protest? What do you think? Is that a fact or is it fiction? Can you bring it back? It is fiction. Believe it or not, burning the U.S. flag is protected under the First Amendment, indeed. You can torch it on purpose. You can torch it on camera, right in front of a bald eagle. And as long as you're doing it as a form of political expression and not as an arsonist starting a wildfire, it's within your rights. So, if you've got a lighter and you've got a strong opinion, and maybe you've got a flair for dramatics, As wild as it seems, there's no federal law that protects your job if your employer doesn't align with your politics. Unless you live in a state with special protections, private employers can absolutely say, sorry, we don't hire people who post about climate change, or we're letting you go because MAGA. And yep, that's legal. Now, public employers have some First Amendment restrictions, and a handful of states ban political retaliation, but under federal law, under federal law, political beliefs are not a protected class. Police are allowed to lie to you during interrogations. Is this a fact? Fiction? Is that legal? Can they really just hit you with your buddy Hardy confessed when your buddy's actually still at home playing Fortnite? Are police allowed to lie to you during interrogations? What do you think? Is that legal? Can they really lie to you? Law. Is that the law? What do you think? Is that legal? Is that completely legal? Is that completely legal? It is a fact. It's unsettling, very unsettling, but it's true. It's totally and completely legal. Police can, and they do, lie straight to your face during interrogations. They can say they found your fingerprints on the murder weapon when they didn't. They can say your best friend snitched when they didn't. They can say there's a video of you doing the crime when there isn't. And guess what? It's allowed. It is all completely allowed. The Supreme Court said that basic deception is fair game, as long as it doesn't go so far that it shocks the conscience or makes a confession completely involuntary. So yeah, if a cop tells you your friend already confessed and said it was all your idea, even when your friend is literally at Chipotle, that is legal. But if they do something like lock you in a room for 16 hours without food, scream in your face, and threaten to arrest your mother unless you confess, then, that's when the court starts raising their eyebrows. So the lesson here, if you want one, the lesson would be lawyer up and say nothing. Next. If police don't read you your Miranda rights, you get to go free. You've seen this one on every crime show ever, right? The detective slaps on the cuffs and says, you have the right to remain silent. But what happens if they don't say that? Do you just waltz out of jail like, sorry officer, no magic words, no case? Is it a fact? Or is it fiction? Is it a fact or is it a fiction? They don't read you your Miranda rights. You get to get out scot-free. Fact or fiction? Fact or fiction? It is fiction. This myth is pure Hollywood. The Miranda rights are not a get-out-of-jail-free card. They're more like a, hey, don't talk yourself into a longer sentence warning. They are only required when two things happen. One, you're in custody, not just being asked questions casually. And two, you're being interrogated. If the cops skip reading them and they still question you, then your answers might be thrown out in court, but the case doesn't just vanish into thin air. If they've got other evidence like surveillance footage or a witness, then the show goes on. this is a big but, and it doesn't lie. Your silence doesn't count unless you say that you're staying silent, which is completely ironic because in order to remain silent, you have to talk, but it's the truth, so. What do you say? You say something like, I'm invoking my right to remain silent and I want a lawyer. Just say that and legally the cops should stop the interrogation, right? Should we practice it? I'm invoking my right to remain silent. I want a lawyer. Perfect, you did great. One thing worth knowing though is if you are at a traffic stop, then you still need to give your name, your license, and your registration. This is not a free pass to roleplay as a mysterious drifter, alright? Next. Police always need a warrant to search your car. Is that a fact or is it fiction? Police always need a warrant to search your car. It is fiction. Unlike your house, which has castle-level privacy rights, your car is more like a mobile legal gray zone on wheels. Thanks to the automobile exception, police don't always need a warrant to search it. If they have probable cause, like they see a suspicious bag or they smell weed in states where it's still illegal, or you blurt out, "That's not my machete," then they can search your car on the spot. If they ask to search your car and you are not under arrest, then you can and you should say no. It won't stop them if you have real probable cause, but it will protect your rights if they don't. Police need a warrant to search your cell phone. Is that a fact or is it fiction? Do police need a warrant to search your cell phone? For example, you just got arrested, your phone is buzzing non-stop, and somewhere in there is a screenshot that you really don't want a cop to see. Can they just go through your phone anyway? Is it a fact or is it fiction? It is a fact. They generally do need a warrant. In a major Supreme Court case, justices unanimously agreed that your phone is basically your entire life in your pocket. Texts, photos, emails, location history, Tinder matches, memes, everything. So, unless you say yes, don't, or there's a real emergency, cops need a warrant to dig through it. If you're arrested, they can take your phone and hold on to it, but they cannot unlock it and start swiping through it like it's a game of Clue. And one more tip. They can force your fingerprint or face scan to unlock the phone, but they can't force you to give your passcode. That is protected under the Fifth Amendment. So keep a passcode, turn off the face and fingerprint. And we are still keeping with the warrants here. Because our next fact or fiction question is, anything you put in the trash is off limits to police without a warrant. Fact? Fiction? You thought the garbage was sacred. You thought your banana peels, weird receipts, last week's regretful takeout containers legally protected. Is that what you thought? Is it a fact? Is it fiction? Is it a fact? Is it fiction? Is your garbage legally protected? It is fiction. Once that trash hits the curb, it's fair game. The Supreme Court says that you have no reasonable expectation So, if you toss out incriminating stuff like baggies, burner phones, how-to guide on tax evasion, the cops do not need a warrant to go digging through that trash. Next, we have, it is illegal to film on-duty police officers in public. Is that a fact? Is that fiction? You're walking down the street, something goes down, and you pull out your phone, cop barks, you can't film me. Is that true? Or is it just someone who doesn't want to go viral? Is it a fact? Or is it fiction? Is it a fact or is it fiction? It is fiction. You absolutely have a First Amendment right to record police officers doing their jobs in public, as long as you're not interfering with them. Courts across the country have upheld this, and the ACLU straight up encourages it. Why? Because filming police is considered a form of free speech, free press, and public accountability. It's not just allowed, it's important. That said, you cannot get in their face, block their work, yell "World Star" while climbing onto the hood of their cruiser. As long as you're at a reasonable distance and not causing chaos, then you are completely protected. And no, they cannot legally take your phone or delete your footage without a warrant. Will some try? Sure. Will it hold up in court? Absolutely not. If they're on duty in a public space, then you can press record. Just don't live stream from inside the crime scene tape and you're golden. And now, police can seize your property even if you've never been charged with a crime. Fact. Fiction. You could be totally innocent, never arrested, never even given a court date, and they can still take your stuff. Is that a fact? Can they still take your stuff? What do you think? Is that a fact? It is a fact. It is a fact, and yeah, it sounds like a plot twist, but it's completely legal under a process called civil asset forfeiture. And here's how it works. If law enforcement suspects that your property is connected to criminal activity like drug trafficking, fraud, whatever, they can seize it, even if you have never been arrested, never charged, never convicted. You don't have to be the criminal. Your stuff is what's on trial. No joke. The case might literally be titled something like State of Florida versus $8,390 in cash, because the property is considered the defendant. Let's say you're driving with a few $1,000 in cash, and the police decide it looks suspicious. They can take it right then and there. You walk away without a charge, but if you want your money back, you have to go to the court and prove that it's not guilty, which flips the whole innocent until proven guilty thing right on its head. And in some places, the police department gets to keep the property they seize, and you don't need a law degree to realize that might lead to some serious abuse. So yeah, this is real, and no, you do not need to be convicted. Next. The government can force you to sell your private property for public use with compensation. Is that a fact? Or is it fiction? The government can force you to sell your private property for public use with compensation. The government can force you to sell your property with compensation. Fact. Fiction. It is a fact. And it's called eminent domain, which sounds like a villain from a dystopian novel, but it's a very real power granted by the Fifth Amendment's Takings Clause. Basically, the government can't just take your land someone breaks into your house and you call 911 and nobody comes. Tragic, outrageous, not illegal. Legally, the police are responsible for public safety in general, not guaranteeing protection for any one person. Fact. Fiction. Police officers often can't be sued personally, even if they violate someone's rights. What do you think? If someone in uniform crosses a serious line, breaks the law, abuses their power, they can't be sued directly. Is that a fact? Fiction. Cannot be sued directly. They break a law, cross a serious line, they cannot be sued directly. What do you think? Is that a fact? It is a fact. And it all boils down to something called qualified immunity. Qualified immunity is a legal doctrine that protects government officials, including police, from being held personally liable in civil court unless they violated a clearly established constitutional right. And here's the catch, the catch, the catch, the catch. Clearly established doesn't mean obviously wrong. It means there has to be an earlier court case with almost the exact same facts showing the action was unconstitutional. And if there's not, then the officer is immune. This is why you'll sometimes hear about horrifying cases of excessive force, wrongful raids, abuse, and yet no personal accountability in court. If there wasn't already a case saying that exact thing was illegal, it often doesn't matter how outrageous it was. Next fact or fiction. The Constitution doesn't guarantee equal rights for women and men. Is that a fact? Is that fiction? It's 2025. Surely it's baked into the Constitution by now, right? It is a fact. The Constitution does not guarantee equal rights for women and men. As it stands today, the U.S. Constitution does not explicitly guarantee equal rights regardless of sex. The word women doesn't appear anywhere in the entire document. And while courts have interpreted the 14th Amendment's Equal Protection Clause to strike down many discriminatory laws, that protection is based on interpretation and not a direct, permanent guarantee. Is it a fact or is it fiction? The United States doesn't guarantee paid maternity or parental leave. Is that a fact or is it fiction? The United States doesn't guarantee paid maternity or parental leave. It is a fact. The U.S. is the only industrialized country in the world, and one of just a tiny handful of countries overall that does not guarantee paid leave for new parents. 0 weeks, $0, 0 federal requirement. So unless your employer voluntarily offers paid leave, some do, many don't, then having a baby in the U.S. often means burning your vacation days, going without a paycheck, or heading back to work while you're still learning how to hold a bottle and blink at the same time. By contrast, countries all over the world, including every one of the United States' economic peers, provides months of paid leave as a legal right. A Pew Research study flat out stated of 41 high-income nations, the U.S. is the only one with 0 guaranteed paid parental leave. In the land of the free, new parents are free to go broke or back to work, while the rest of the world naps with their newborns on paid time. Next one of the most misunderstood rights in America. The First Amendment protects you from government censorship, but not from the consequences at your job. If you work in the private sector, your employer generally can fire or discipline you for the things you say, whether that's a tweet, a protest, a hot mic moment, as long as it's not illegal retaliation like discrimination or whistleblowing. They can do that. So, if you go viral for all the wrong reasons, your boss can absolutely say, thanks, but we're good. Our next fact or fiction is, no law protects you from being fired over tattoos, piercings, or hairstyle. Is that a fact? Can your resume say team player, but your neck tat say cursed pirate map? What do you think? Are you not protected with your tattoos, your jewelry, your hair color? What do you think? What do you think? What do you think? What is the truth there? It is a fact. Yeah, that dragon sleeve you got to honor your grandma. Grounds for termination. Your boss doesn't need to understand your septum ring, your green mullet, your tribal phoenix. As long as it's not tied to religion or race, they can say, cover it or clock out. Because in the eyes of the federal law, your individuality is not protected. Is it a fact? Or is it fiction? Your employer can monitor your work email, your computer, and your internet use. What do you think? Can they spy on you when you have 36 tabs open so it looks like you're working, but really you're reading conspiracy theories over whether or not birds are real? Can your employer do that? Is your employer allowed to spy on you? Is it totally legal and totally chill and totally okay for your employer to spy on your computer? It is a fact. If you are using company equipment or you are on company networks, then you have very limited privacy. Your employer can legally read your emails, track your internet usage, monitor your keystrokes, and even watch you on camera, as long as it's in a non-private space. That work laptop is not your friend. It's a snitch in a metal case. Next. Workplace English-only rules are legal to enforce at all times. Workplace English-only rules are legal to enforce at all times. Is that a fact or is that fiction? Fact or fiction? Workplace English-only rules legal to enforce at all times. It is fiction. A blanket English-only rule, one that says you can never speak any other language at work, generally considered discriminatory because it often amounts to national origin discrimination. Now, employers can require English in certain situations, like when safety is at risk or when everyone on a team needs to understand the same instructions. But that has to be limited and it has to be necessary, not just based on someone being uncomfortable with languages that they don't understand. So, no, your job cannot ban you from speaking is a fact. Children can still legally marry in many U.S. states under certain conditions. There's no federal ban. And as of recent data, about 10 states didn't even have a minimum age on the books, meaning that with a judge's signature or a parent's consent, a child of any age could theoretically be married. Between 2000 and 2018, nearly 300,000 minors were legally married in the U.S. under these exceptions. You can't vote, you can't drink, you can't sign a lease, but in some states you can still walk down the aisle before you hit high school. Good old North America. And that is all 22 civil rights fact or fiction statements for you. So how did you do? Were you shocked? Were you annoyed? Were you humbled by the Constitution? Now, you know your rights. You know what you can say, what cops can do, what they can't do, what your boss is allowed to control. And some of it felt unfair. It's because a lot of it is. But it's real. If you learned something new, or you just want to rant about one of these, please start a conversation. Share it in the comments. And if you want more fact or fiction